Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Hello there, we have a podcast, so don't mess time up and start with a question. Yeah, the first question is for you guys: that what stereotypes have you already been faced to?
So stereotypes, for example, like related to my background. So I've been questioned, I've been like faced, I've been, let's say, even attacked. Sometimes if for example, just I want to express my things, like what I'm doing, like in my daily life, or usually with my international friends. So I face this kind of stereotypes, which is, like, I feel there's no quality in that. So yeah, this is the only one, and for example, even in the educational awareness, let's say, some people sometimes they can judge you why you did this, why didn't you do this, even that they can blame you, they can give you their ideas. So for example, like I'm uncomfortable in learning this or be educated in this field, or you got my point. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, personally, luckily I've never faced any stereotypes, maybe because of the sphere I'm living or the social circle around me. I don't want to live in my bubble and believe that there are no such stereotypes, and I think that's a big issue.
Thank you very much. So we can continue. So what?
I am Camilla from Italy. I think just as a young woman, you can just get objectified, sexualized sometimes. It's just like people assume things about you that you are not competent enough, you're not just you have not educated enough just because of your gender. And it has happened from time to time also on a workplace. It's getting better in my opinion, but yeah, we can still work on it.
So when I was younger, I was a really sporty human and I wanted to play football. And it was a group of guys mainly who play this sport, and I wanted to join them. And they said stuff like girls can't play football, and so they didn't allow me to play with them. And it sucks because I actually turned out to be a trans male. So it's like an extra insult, but whatever. And also just the fact that when you are, for example, upset, then people just assume that you are on your period or something, I don't know,
Yeah.
The only stereotype I remember facing was in one of my projects with my national team. They were from the south part of Romania and was from the north part, and they were expecting me to have a strong accent, and they were asking me to do that accent. Like, it was funny in some way, but not that funny. But I was okay with that. I didn't get offended, but it's a stereotype.
Very much. I feel that we can move to the second topic. You can let the microphone in your hand, and we will be discussing the role of language in gender equality. It means that some languages, and many of them, use genders, like in German maybe it's der, die, das. And how does it impact the language and the gender equality in basic life? What do you think about this topic?
I don't think I have an opinion on that.
Okay, so if you don't have, you can move the microphone next. Thank you.
So I often see people debating the usage of pronouns and that we should just go with they, them when we see someone. I personally don't have any problems if someone who doesn't know me refers to me as she, her, because I do look like a female, so I don't find it offensive. It only sucks when they are doing it to hurt you after they know that you prefer actually something else. So if they use it to hurt you, then I have a problem with that. But if they are just referring to you without knowing that you prefer something else, then I don't see that as an issue personally.
Yeah, I also think it can get, maybe sometimes it gets too big of a discourse, because as Eric was saying, what really matters is the intention behind it rather than like what you're saying in a way. But for when we're talking about big public figures and like political figures, maybe there should definitely be more discussion about that, because it's like, for example, in Italy we have now a president woman that refers herself as a man because of a matter of power and representation and authority, and that's a bit saddening as a young woman, that you cannot just call yourself like a presidentessa, so like the feminine term for president, because it's not like good enough.
Thank you.
Well, I believe that some words are not intended, but they seem to be male. For example, the exercise that we had creating a European hero, everybody thought of a hero being a male, and it turned out that every team had a male figure in their heads. Nobody had women figures. So I believe that there's some kind of this equality, and maybe reimagining the languages could fix it in a way. Personally, I don't see it as a big problem that has to be first addressed. So maybe there are bigger problems that have to be solved before that.
So alright, so basically I personally I've never before heard about these things identity for the genders. Okay, we know which is the most common is the gender, like male and female. But once I was surprised because when I was in the States, I met with some friends, and they were they were introducing themselves. It was like, okay, my name is blah blah blah, and it can be identified as her and she, and for the girls she or her. So it's like this identification. I really liked that. It's like, okay, everybody his own. He can be entitled by how he wants, and I personally I respect that. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we can move to the maybe a little bit controversial, but also very interesting topics. We will start with a question that what do you think about the fact that the public institution should artificially consist of 50% of men and 50% of women, that the equality should be strictly done by the number of
Absolutely. I think for example, in governmental institution or these local things, I think they should promote equality and for all genders, identified by their entitlement. I mean, so they have to enjoy the same rights, the same opportunities, the same everything. They have to be. So this is the meaning even for the between equality and the difference between equality and equity. So everything should be equal. This is what I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe having such division in the parliament or any institution, it can represent that equality exists in the institutions. But on the other hand, I believe that having strict rule to having 50% of female and males in the parliament shouldn't be imposed this way directly. Maybe this can be inherited in the people and they can make their choices. So I see not a female or male, more of humans who have their characteristics and their what they can contribute in a certain institution. So I think that a female and a male could have the same benefits in the institution. If such law is imposed in the government, I don't think I'll have a problem with that. It's if people have certain arguments that are really good and will benefit in a positive way the way the government works and the whole process, I'm fine. I'm down.
I think we've done a lot of steps forwards in terms of equality, but women still, or people identifying as women anyway, are underrepresented in some places, and government is one of them in most countries because most countries have a slightly higher percentage of women than men in like in their population, and there's still way less women. It's like, and not only in just position of power in general. Like look at how many women's prime ministers there is, and in the like big numbers. Look at how many women's billionaires there is. You look at the top 50 billionaires. It's like, man, it's just. And so like I think that pink quota and like minimum number of women is very important. I don't think it should be necessarily like 50% as a strict cut, because they can like oscillate a bit, but yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I think that having this strict rule is actually really dumb. And yes, there are some situations where we should definitely have like a group which consists of both men and women. For example, if we have issues that can affect the two groups differently, then it's important to have representatives of the both groups. But also, basically, they made this rule so people won't be like, well, I am going to vote this person because, for example, he is a male. And they wanted to like bring this rule in so that more women will be in so more women can
Politics.
Yeah, for example. But essentially what they did is that again you are voting for them because of their gender, because I'm going to vote for them because they are a woman and we need women. So you aren't voting for them because they necessarily have good ideas, you are voting for their gender. So I think that's just really dumb and counterproductive. So yeah, the problem is when... Wait, I need time to think about this. Okay, so for example, let's say that there's a university and they are accepting like 4 students and they say that they want 2 women and 2 men. And it doesn't matter if, for example, the men are more skilled, they won't get into university because they already have 2 men, and then they will get 2 women who aren't as skilled as the men. So what they are basically choosing is not the skill, but just the gender. So they aren't striving for like people who can achieve more, but just being seen better by the public eye, I guess.
But why are men more skilled in
This was
tech
just-
and scientific subjects?
This was just like
Example? Or-
yes,
Yeah,
example.
of course. But like, I think the point of like putting some women like they have to be there is that
Yeah.
there's been a gap for a long time. and we're,
Definitely.
trying to even it.
But as I understand, you mean it in a way that in a scale of the competence of
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
study, that it doesn't mean that
Yeah, like they
in
might
general
can
men are-
be less competent and they are still going to be chosen instead of people who are more competent for the job.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes a problem. But yeah, there should be more like equal opportunities for both genders and
Yeah.
less stereotypes for sure.
Thank you very much. And we can move to the I am sorry, to the last question. And we will discuss the question that do you think that there are too many programs to encourage young women, but too few programs to encourage young men? What do you think, Pavel, about this?
Well, I would say something about my experience. So in my university, I'm in the IT sector. I'm studying informatics. And as you know, the IT sector is mainly with men. And in my university, we have this club called Women in Computer Science. So women are a minority and they have their own club and they have their own opportunities. So at my university, I don't think women have less opportunities. Men have also equal, because you can freely participate in all events or all how do I say all classes. It's freely open for everybody.
Yeah, it's I agree. So am I for where he mentioned. For example, like if I share my experience at the university, so I'm in biology sectors, which is like contains a lot of women, especially in my country. Even like the institution where am I. So most of my teachers and professors, supervisors, lab workers, assistants, all of them mostly are like 90% women. So like when I could see this. I mean, they get their opportunity. So there is even like what Kami mentioned. I think like we moved a little bit forward comparing to previously. Like women have more opportunities than before. Even if you see some articles in the politics, you can find women in a lot of sectors like economy. Even a big percentage, I could say, get different in my country. Where am I from? Algeria. So 60% of women are working there, and this is like good to express, even to share with you guys. So we, as I came from this background, so what the people think, it's different. So we got a 60% of women are occupying governmental positions. So I think and we should promote this equality more and more to be fair for everybody.
I do not think there's too many programs for women at all, but there is an argument to be made about like the whole masculinity thing and how like young men have it a bit harder right now to have good role models that are not athletes maybe, and like hyper masculine figures like Andrew Tate, very like radicalized figures. And there's a bit, I think it's like going forward there's gonna have to be a discussion. It's not really right now, we're still in a developing phase, but in the future I think there's an argument to be made like as the same gender directed programs that girls had could be made for young boys at some point. I don't know, just an idea.
So I think both groups have like equal opportunities, and according to some people one group might get more encouragement to like participate in certain things, but more encouragement doesn't necessarily mean less opportunities for others.
I think they have the same opportunities. Like in all of my projects, there was either most of them were like gender balanced, and I really like that because women like have the courage to go to these projects. And also about my university, like I will start it in 2 weeks, and at my exam I was expecting to see more men because of the stereotypes. Like in IT there's gonna be more men, but like I think there was like equal number of men and women, and I really like that.
The only thing is that the argument I was saying is that's because all these programs are being quite effective, but like you look at university classes where languages are taught or where education is taught, and it's all women, almost all women. Like there's barely any men, and that's what I'm saying. That maybe like going forward there should be some programs to encourage also young men in like professions such as teaching or like other things, because there's no, I don't know.
Medicine is female dominated too.
Hmm?
Medicine is female dominated
Exactly.
too. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if one group has like is more interested in a certain topic than the other. That's fine, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I thank you personally to everybody for your opinions, for your interesting point of view, and we will see next time, and this podcast is at the end.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Pow, pow, pow.